Welcome to AFL Today. I am your host, Jaymz Clements. I am joined here on this, I don't know, shall we call it an auspicious occasion? I love a good over-under show. Last year's show when we did this was chaos. That was an entirely different show altogether. But I'll tell you what, footy's back. That means one thing. Footy's back. And then the other thing that it means is over-unders. We're talking about that today with a couple of co-hosts. What do we got? We've got the stats guy next to me. What's going on, stats guy?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely pumped to do a bit of over-unders because we've got our paddles. We're ready to go, same as last year. So let's do it.
I like it. And over there is Alex Donnelly.
I'm glad the paddles are back. And I think this is the first time we've done a show near on since grand final last year.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Exciting
So back,
times.
because footy's back.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. It is the best time of year because footy is back. You can smell it. You can smell footy. You can hear the smack of leather on skin. That might be Alex's pastimes, but we're not here to judge. Outside of this, though, thank God it's almost over this preseason. It's felt longer than ever. We've had ups and downs. We broke this down in the first show of AFL Today vibes, where we talked about the preseason vibes for a bunch of teams, who we liked, who we didn't like, a little bit of the Supercoach talk. But today, all we are doing is the first half of the league over-unders and their win totals. Ooh. Simple as that. Every single AFL team broken down into little bits. So we have a base number for each team for what their over-under could be. We're going to pick over or under, and we'll talk out each team for you because
with our paddles.
That's what we're going to do. So over will be blue, red for the unders. Hopefully you're watching this because it's going to be very confusing if you're just listening. Without further...
If you're not watching, why aren't you?
Subscribe to the YouTube. All right.
Cool.
Without further ado, let's do it. The Adelaide Crows. Weird team last year, finished 11-12. They missed the finals, didn't they, stats guy?
Absolutely robbed Alex's Sydney. I remember him coming into the office last year and saying, it was just part of the game. It was just part of the game. They should have made finals. They were robbed. A lot of close losses as well, so you could say that.
I wouldn't have fallen 44 points behind in that game personally. But that's
true.
Just me.
But yeah, I think our review system still has to get better. It's going to be pretty crap this year. So Adelaide were robbed, and I think they're going to have a good year.
Nice one. When you say have a good year, how good are we talking? Because the over-under is 12.5 wins. They had 11 last year. This is the thing. We're going to go and look at, what are they? They're the 14th oldest team in the AFL. So we've talked about this time and time again. They sort of split the middle a bit, don't they? Yeah. Right? They've got these old experienced dudes like Tex, and you've got a bunch of young dudes in the middle.
You got Laird, who's the older ones.
And away we go. But
Crouch.
Yep.
It's like the 15th most experienced. So average games is 60.
Yeah.
Not much.
No,
it's not bad. So is this the year that they improve, or was last year the sort of weird outlier where they were really good at home, they crushed it? What do we reckon?
So I can't get my head around them. They are the one team I literally can't this year because their midfield, you look at it, it's Dawson, Laird and Crouch. They're the same. They are big, beefy boys, but if Laird and Crouch have 40 handballs between them, you're like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, it's probably not going to damage you a lot. And then it's like, Tex can't kick 76 goals again. Like, it just won't happen.
He could. 1 year. I think he's got one more year left.
But it's up to players like the Thriller, our man, Thrillthorpe.
Yeah.
You've also got Rankin and Rochelle who need to lift up as well and be a bit more consistent in their games. But they've got no defenders.
Yeah,
and they've already got injuries so far in the preseason. So, they might score 100 points a game. They might have 120 put on them.
Yeah, that's
because they leak points very quickly.
That's the thing. I think there's a lot of teams in the comp that won't be able to keep up with their scoring. They were the number one offense last year, 96 points a game. I thought it was a little bit more than that.
But they still lost 12 games.
They still lost a lot of games, really close games. I think they're a bit more experienced now. Their forward line was really inexperienced. They're a little bit more experienced now. I reckon they're going to win some of those close games. And I reckon they will be, again, the number one offense in the comp. If they can up that just a little bit, they'll win some of those close games because a lot of teams can't kick over 100 points.
Their stats were also inflated by playing West Coast twice.
Yes. Yeah, which is very handy.
Yeah.
I'm going under.
Oh.
12.5.
Yeah.
I've got them at 12 wins. So I think in terms of this vibe, you look at it and go, I think they'll have a very similar, like you talked about this, right? The problems with defense. I think that's where it's going to sort of let them down. I think they can still put up scores on everybody, especially when they're playing at home. I just think there would be a little bit of we're just going to figure this out and sort of middle it once again.
Yep.
So it's hard for me to get like super worked up. I know that people have. I'm excited to see this team. They were one of the teams that I talked about in that first show. But I'm still just going to go the under 12.5 just because I think they might land on 12.
Yeah.
So stats guy.
Yeah,
Alex,
I'm going over. That's why I've got the blue paddle.
I'm over, but I can't get my head around it.
Oh,
there we go. I got the ding.
The ding, nice.
So Adelaide, 1 under,
I reckon
2
top
over.
4. Yeah.
Are we going to have our locks?
Top 4.
I said that last show.
All right,
that was my
there's
big call. That was my big
Stats
call.
guy's lock.
So
Are we-
that was my.
I was about to say, are we going to have our locks like we had 3 locks last year for what for 3 over or unders?
This is my lock definitely for Adelaide
Whoa.
over. I just think they're going to be really good. I've convinced myself more and more each day. I think, but I'm on them. Yeah.
Sure.
Nice. Brisbane. All right, that's right. Premiership attendee last year, right? Grand
Attendee. I haven't
final
heard anyone
attendee. There
being
we go.
described as that. I like that.
Losing the grand final, heartbreaking fashion. If you'd had a few tins and had a bet on Brisbane, you'd be spewing.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me. But they go 17-6 in the regular season, right? Unbeatable at home, obviously. We've talked about this time and time again. When you get to the Gabba, it's just like,
Gabatoir.
come on, man. The Gabatoir reigns. It's undefeated.
It's so hard to win there, isn't it? 14 wins there last year out of their 14 games.
So 17-6 overall, though. The over-under is 15.5.
Yep.
So it's a little bit lower. How do we feel about this? They are a team that has the equal 4th oldest list. That's very experienced. This is their window, right? It's
Yeah.
simple as that.
Next
It's like
couple of
you've got
years.
your dudes, 4th most experienced list as well. And you've got, I don't know, this combination of the big forwards and like the best small forward in the comp, one of the better midfields, probably one of the best midfields in the comp as well. Where does this go wrong? Why is it 15.5? Can they go over under? What are you feeling?
I think they can go over because they'll go unbeaten at home again, and I just think it is they get those couple of extra wins away from. Because remember, there was those 2 games they lost by less than a kick at the MCG. It's like, oh, they can't win at the MCG. It's like they
got
can.
close,
It's just circumstantial. It's one of those things that will even out over time.
But they lost Jack Gunston.
Oh,
Did he even play in the grand final?
He pulled out. He's like, no, I don't want to play anymore, guys.
He's come back to
Daniel
Hawthorn.
Rich is like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That was weird.
But it's also got Will Ashcroft will be back in this side at some stage again this year as well. Kitty Coleman's going to be way better. He was awesome in the grand final. Jasper Fletcher's going to be better again as well. So there is the youth that's coming through that's going to be like, oh, yeah, we're pretty good again. And they've added the bloke from Adelaide,
Tom Doty.
Tom Doty.
Yeah, he's
coming
all right.
in defence
Doty,
as well, who just adds another layer. So I think
you butchered that.
this is the, like, if they don't win it this year, next year could be the drop-off year.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one.
Righto.
That being said,
You got the paddle up? Yeah.
We're doing it.
I'm
Over.
going over as well. We're all going over. Yeah.
I've got 16-7 for Brisbane, and I feel okay about it. In terms of like their strength of schedule, they do have one of the harder ones, but that's sort
they
of
had a
balanced.
hard schedule last year
It's
as
exactly
well.
right. They're balanced out by the simple fact they play at the Gabba and they just don't lose.
Well, they got 11 games there during the season. You can lock in, you could say 11, but you could lock in at least 9, I'd say, because they got probably 2 or 3 really hard ones there. You
They've
can lock
got
in
North
around
Melbourne
9.
and gather around.
Exactly. They got North. Now that's another technically home one because they're fixtured as the home game there. So yeah, you can lock in 11 or 10 to 11 wins, I reckon, at home. So
all over.
yeah,
Love that.
Yeah.
top 2.
Brisbane,
I'm
fantastic.
17 to 18 wins.
Well, Brisbane were my tip for the premiership last year. At the
Mine
very
too.
start of the season, I
Yeah.
looked like some sort of like amazingly awesome ginger prophet by the time
We
it rolled
both
around.
tipped them to win the
And of
flag.
course, they really
Lost to
got there.
Collingwood.
Oh,
That's it. That's Brisbane. Now it's time for Carlton.
I feel like you're nervous over there talking about the Blues.
I'll tell you what. We talked about this in the first episode of AFL today. The lid is off when it comes to Carlton because everyone's like, oh, geez, they're going to be so good. As a Carlton supporter, I have my qualms and queries about this team. Most revolve around the simple fact of like, okay, are we good? Or was last year just like, we finally put it together. The defense actually reigned supreme in the second half of the season. But does that continue? It's like, it's weird. Jack Martin came into the team against Essendon halfway through the season, turned the season
Helped you
around.
turn it
I
around.
think I
Yeah.
yelled about it for 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. Like, that's cool. Great. But can Harry Mackay just stop sailing balls into the arrow? That's all I want. Just kick the goal. Just kick.
But he can't. He
kick straight.
actually can't.
It sucks.
He could be the big factor. If he just kicks even just slightly more accurate, then yeah, you could win a few more games. We'll have to
So-
see if he can do that though.
Last year, they go 13-9.
Yep.
Obviously, losing the prelim in...
Let's add in they literally fell over the line in both of those finals due to their opposition kicking 10 goals, 87.
Yep.
Yep.
But at the same time...
Held strong to get a lead at least though. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's also, you got to give yourself like a little bit of credit for sticking tough.
Yeah.
In
the
games
past,
like that,
Carlton would just
fall apart.
So yeah.
This is the equal 6th oldest with an average of 24.8 years. 12th most experienced in terms of games, though. So I think that's a lot loaded in terms of the age towards like the
think the age is
Dohertys
okay,
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yep.
You've got George Hewitt and stuff like this. I've talked about this when it comes to Carlton. There's a lot of depth, and that's why they were like Paddy Dow, Zach Fisher. Yeah, that's fine. We'll see you.
Yeah.
I do still think moving on from both could be a problem because you bring in Elijah Hollands, you're like, all right, let's get the Holland boys back together. It's like, okay, can he stay healthy? Can Orazio Fantasia, can he stay healthy? It's like, I don't know, man.
I don't know, yeah.
So
And Hewitt, there's a lot of guys that. Yeah.
I've actually sort of landed on with the 13 and 9. I've gone back and forth on this a lot. I think there's a lot of inconsistency with this Carlton team. I think they'll stay, like, as long as they stay healthy, as long as Mackay and Curnow are healthy, as long as Cripps is healthy. We've already got question marks around Walsh, however.
That's a big question mark, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard because I've got one sim where I've gone over.
Okay.
At 15 and 8. I've got another one where they've gone, the 13 and...
So under, yeah.
13 and whatever. So is it 13 and 10? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is hard.
But I'm a Carlton supporter. So I always have like a little bit of a pessimistic bent. You know this, gentlemen. How do you feel? Come on, talk me through it.
What do you got, Alex?
Make me feel good.
Well, let's see if he's going to make you
So
feel
the thing
good.
is, with Carlton at their best, they're obviously very, very good, and I can see them winning somewhere up to 15 to 16 games.
Yeah.
It's Carlton. You could very easily win 9 games because the
that's
forward
a
line
big difference.
just doesn't work like it did in that middle period of the year where was it 7 games in a row you lost and you're losing to horrendous teams. It could very easily happen again because too many cooks in the kitchen, but the way that you finished off last year when Charlie finally got his act together and Jack Martin nipping around, I feel like this is the year for the Flaggers if they're going to do anything.
Yep.
Stats boy?
I'm going to go over. I think it might only be just over, like you mentioned. But I think the horrible start you had last year, even if you just get a few more wins in that start period and you finish strong again, I think you're going to go well over. So 13 wins last year. If they just start a little bit better, which they should because they...
No, it's don't lose 7.
Don't lose 7
straight in the
I
middle
don't
of
think
the year.
they are going to do that. They're a bit more experienced. They have a bit more belief. I feel like Carlton, obviously, for a long time,
All right,
haven't
wrap
had
it up.
belief.
This is too much.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get to say anything at all. But anyway, you can say
got
whatever you
dinged.
want. Yeah. All right. All good. Carlton over.
Righto. Collingwood. That's right. Your 2023 AFL Premiers, not just attendees, actually won the damn thing. Last year, 18 and 5. Looked like for a big chunk of the season that they could do even better than that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dropped a few down the stretch once they sort of put the cue in the rack a little bit. The over-under is 15 and a half for Collingwood. My initial thought is straight away over. I didn't really think about it too much. And then you have these moments like, well, they did lose a couple of folks, right? And in terms of like their list, it's like the oldest in the entire AFL. It's the 3rd most experienced in terms of average games. But they won the flag.
They won the
like,
flag.
what are we doing?
Exactly. Same
Who
as Geelong.
cares if you're just going to get rolling?
But you just had the same thing with Geelong last year.
Yeah, when they won. They were the...
They won. They had the oldest list coming
Yep.
in the next year and dipped.
Yep.
Ooh, that's
the
true.
problem is, I feel like when you got Pendles just holding up one end of the age and the game
And he's still a
played.
freak.
Him and Steele side bottom.
Yeah.
Did you know he used to play basketball?
Did he? Really?
But in terms of the ins and outs, that's the thing when it comes to Collingwood, right? Like you suddenly have like win now or that's it. Because you have the
still
Dan
think they'll be
McStays
alright.
and stuff of the world. Like you made those moves.
Dan McStay's not playing for the year, though. He's done his
Exactly.
thing,
So you have like, you make those moves though, right?
Yeah.
With that simple idea of like,
We're now
we
prime,
have
yeah.
to win
Yeah.
right now. And they very well could because they lose Taylor Adams, they lose Ginnivan, but I don't think it matters that much.
They
Taylor
were the
Adams
biggest-
didn't play in the grand final. Jack
Exactly.
Ginnivan, they've lost Jack Ginnivan to get Lockie Schultz.
Lockie
That's
Schultz.
legitimately an upgrade.
Yeah,
Schultz
Lockie
coming
Schultz.
in is massive.
Schultz is their best forward.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even played a game for them yet. He's
Yeah.
their best forward.
One of the best small forwards in the comp. We'll get into Freo in a sec. That's stuffing up Freo and really going to help Collingwood because all they have to do is bring it to the ground. He's so good at the crumbs.
Well,
so,
Bobby
yeah.
Hill is apparently the greatest player of all time now, like after his grand
Yeah.
final performance. They're going to have, Ash Johnson and some other tall dude just stuck there and just be like, yeah, okay.
Bring it to ground, yeah.
Try and bring it to ground. If they get their ground game going, as we've seen, it's impossible to run with them. It's just relentless. But the way that they play, that frenetic game style can lead to injuries very quickly. And if they get a couple to some key players within that midfield, they could be in some trouble. If a couple of Daykai go down,
That'll be fine.
And then
That'll be
even
If they lose a single Daykai,
Yeah.
they're in problem.
but
They've
then
got
also
a lot of problems.
add in if Nathan Murphy, and let's hope he does get through the season, but if he cops another concussion, he may have to retire. Their defense is held up by, himself and Darcy Moore.
Darcy Moore, yeah.
Obviously, Quaynor had a good year too, but their next big defender, like who?
Yeah. Yeah, they do rely a lot on their starting team. You are right about that. So if they do get injuries, I still back them to go over, even if they have a few injuries, because their team is so good. It's so good.
I think they're over, but I could very easily see the wheels fall
Yeah.
off.
I'm going over.
Yeah.
We're going over.
We're all
going
going over, yeah, because they should be top 2 again. Yeah.
I've got them. I did 7 different sims. All 7 had them winning 17 games.
It's about right. Like I think that's their range, right? Like anywhere between 16 and I've got them at 19. Look, the last one that I
Yeah.
did, even though I probably gave them a couple of wins where I'm like, ooh, that's
See,
going
the
to be a
funny
rough
thing
one.
is,
But
they could very easily be 2-0 or 0-2 after these first 2 games.
we'll see
And
what
neither
happens.
would shock me.
Okay. Yep.
Either way, Pies. I mean, what really actually the big question coming out of this Collingwood season is, are they going to have more wins than the average teeth of their supporters?
Oh, that's not that hard. Yeah, that'll be done after the first.
All
few
I know
rounds.
is social media is just going to love this.
7. All right. Essendon, the Bomb Rays, after a horrible preseason where they've just been demolished time and time again. But of course, I don't put much stock in preseason.
No.
Same time, not great.
I pay attention to injuries.
Sure.
And if a player's had a breakout and had like 50 touches in a game.
Yeah,
I've already said this. Too many dudes. Essendon, too many dudes. Too many wildly mediocre dudes.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
my point.
Yep.
And I just feel like Brad Scott, the drop off last year for Essendon was
so
more
dramatic,
like
yeah.
the drop off of like probably old mate marrying me. You know, she's like, he looked pretty cool at the start. Now I'm stuck with him.
I did not
you know
think
that
you were
kind of
going
vibe.
yeah.
It's like, I could probably marry a lawyer. Instead, she's stuck with ginger beard over here, just going, yelling about footy. She's like, what have I done? I've made a horrible mistake. That feels like Essendon halfway through the year. They're like,
She's got a
this
good
is great.
prenup.
This is really fun.
What a
And now it's
comparison,
like,
yeah.
hang on a second. Okay. Jeez.
So hold on. Here's a question.
Okay.
Look, just think of their list right now. Who is their best player in 5 years, and why is it 33-year-old Zach Merritt?
It's a good
That's
question.
a good point because he's been carrying them a lot.
Their list is no good.
I don't think we've talked about just even them signing on Dyson Heppel, who's clearly not at AFL level anymore. I don't think.
Oh,
He isn't. He isn't.
I mean,
And
you can-
they're going to put him at halfback or something. He's going to be too slow. He doesn't suit their play style at all. And I think.
But what I mean is
stuff
their
like that.
next gun.
I
isn't
think Nick
a
Martin.
next
I
gun.
think
Nick
Nick Martin
Martin's
can
right
take
there.
another
But
leap.
he could
But
be
not
the
yet.
dude.
Not
It's
yet.
hype.
But in 5 years, he could be the dude.
Yeah.
But he could be. But you look at it and go, oh, yeah, it's probably Zach Merritt. Whereas you look at someone like Clements, who's your best player in 5 years? Oh, yeah,
Take
Nick
off.
Dacos.
Yeah.
Like,
They don't have similar to Gold Coast. I think this list is where they've got a lot of
Bailey
guys,
Humphrey's their best player in 5
not any
years.
superstars. Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, they replace mediocre dudes with mediocre, like. big
Jade
wolves.
Gresham. It's just a
But
very
again,
Essendon.
5 years ago, Jade Gresham was like, oh yeah, but now it's like, oh.
Exactly
yeah,
the point. So we've talked about this time and time again. Adrian Dodoro, undefeated super champion of the offseason time after time, and it's resulted in absolutely nothing.
Why did he do last season when he was getting moved on from his job?
That's a
what
really
I
good
want to
question.
know. But anyway, more importantly, Essendon, you're mediocre.
Yeah.
Unders.
We're all going
Unders.
under. I think. Yeah. Under.
I've got them at 10 and 13, 11
I've got
to
them at
12.
9 and 14.
11 to
I
12
think
last
10,
year.
so just under. Yeah. Oh, maybe even 11 because the
Still,
11 and a half.
it's only the 12th oldest list, 7th most experienced though. You've brought in Goldie. You've got Dylan Shield, Devon Smith. Like those moves have really hamstrung.
Jake Stringer.
Hamstrung Essendon just like time and time again, right? It's like you've made these big moves, and I feel like they've just done the same thing again this time. Prove me wrong, Essendon.
I think
Prove
they'll
me
be
wrong.
pretty close to finals, but yeah, just under that 11 and a half.
It is a weird one. They could be pushing for it, and I feel like they do have like this is one of the squishiest teams for me. Like they could be like a 14-win team where you
Yeah.
go, oh, they've made the 8. They could also, as we saw them
8 or
early
9,
on,
yeah.
they could be smashing it. But then we saw in the second half
They
fall
just
apart.
crumble,
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird,
I feel like
strange
that's
team.
the thing I was going to say actually. And another year, Essendon would probably you go, oh yeah, they should make finals just because it's so competitive this year. That I can't put them in my finals.
I like it. We've all gone under.
Yep.
Fremantle. Heave-ho.
Heave-ho.
Way to go.
They said heave-ho to a fair few players.
They
They
did.
said heave-ho to a half-decent season this year. If you ask me, 10 and 13 last year, the over-under is 9.5. It's
Oh.
not exactly optimistic as a gentleman.
No,
So
yeah.
I feel about this Fremantle team as I sort of feel about, I don't know, anytime the squid just starts rattling off some like random facts about like sea eagles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool. What's happening? And that's entirely the approach I've got for Freo. They're like, we're a footy club. And I'm like,
Not really.
good on you, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, that's about
Good
how
on
it
you,
goes.
buddy.
Good on you, buddy. I'm proud of you. Caleb Sarong's like, I'm really small. It's like, no one cares.
Caleb Sarong could win a Brownlow this year and they could win 6 games.
Or that.
Andy
I don't know about either of
Brayshaw.
those things.
Andy
Sarong's better than
Brayshaw.
Brayshaw.
Brayshaw and Sarong. You have like this
Very good midfield still. yeah.
dynamic duo, but it doesn't seem to matter. Like,
But-
it's weird.
And they gave up the farm to get Luke Jackson in. They've obviously got Sean Darcy there, and apparently Nathan Fife's fit, but he'll break
He'll
down
break
again.
down, yeah.
But they got rid of their best forward in Schultz
Yep.
and Liam Henry, who's one of their best players too, to load up draft picks to try and get Logan McDonald or Tim English at the end of the year.
Got nothing, yeah.
They've basically given up their season to have 4 first-round draft picks this year. Or is it 3 or 4? Whatever. And it's just like, oh yeah, cool.
Like you said about Logan McDonald.
Like,
yeah.
where's the ambition for this year? Like there is absolutely nothing there. I think they're going to be a massive slider. I can't see them being better than last year.
It's one of the
And they
hard
weren't
ones for me
great.
too. Like I think this is the team where you look at it and go, oh, where's the upside? It's really, really difficult, right? So
It's
Like,
tough.
Alex Pearce as like one of their main defenders.
He
He
struggled
got torn
last
up
year,
by
yeah.
a torn up Buddy Franklin last year.
Yeah, well, they had the 4th worst offense last year. You take out Schultz, who you
Who can
said.
kick? Jaymz is great.
I think he's really good, but you can't just rely on him.
next superstar full forward.
Yeah, I
love
think he'll
this.
be really
Giant
good.
miss versus the Suva, and away we go.
Yeah, Luke Jackson as well. I don't think is worth the hype at all. He that was a weird signing to put all chips in on him. So Leo's not happy behind the camera there, but
He's
I don't rate
an
him at all.
absolute gun.
No, I don't.
If I was Fremantle, I would have moved on Darcy and got in another pick.
He's not going to be a guy that's going to win him games this year, Luke Jackson. I don't think.
You're
I think-
on your own in that one,
That's
Stats
all right,
guy.
that's
You're
all
off your head.
I think Freo are one of my sliders this year.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are. Me
I'm
too.
going under.
I'm going under as well.
Under
What have
9.5
you-
wins.
What have you got them like in your?
I think I have him
simulations?
at 8 or 9.
I had them at 8. I think last
I
time
had
I
them
did
as
it.
high as 8 and as low as 5.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry, 8 or 9 wins. I meant to say,
Yeah.
not yeah.
Yeah,
right.
as high as 8 wins and as low as
Okay,
5.
okay.
That is a lot of unders for Freo. With apologies to all the Dockers fans out there.
All 7 of you.
Oh, they got a few.
The Geelong Cats.
Taxpayer United, let's go!
How the mighty have fallen. 10 and 12 last year in the premiership defense. Losing a raft of games down at the Cattery, out of nowhere, in shocking fashion sometimes.
Crazy.
And then you have these moments where you're like, but they're still Geelong. It's like, yes, it's a bunch of carpenters who love going surfing. You love it.
Carpenters.
I'm all about it. It's like a whole bunch of long-haired blonde carpenter dudes
Yeah.
full of tats. You're like, are they good? Don't know, but they can make a
And
cabin.
then Jeremy Cameron just on his farm going, what's up?
I love
He's so
McAllion.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh my
Love
goodness.
McAllion.
Some of the videos have been popping up lately.
And then they just turn into like prime anything when they play us.
Exactly.
Which is great.
yeah.
So, second oldest list, 25.4. You got Tomahawk out there, 347 games.
I thought you were saying his age.
Aye.
So-
Nice. They actually have the most experienced list in terms of average games,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
pretty good because they have blooded a lot of their sort of young dudes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't know if many of those young dudes are that good. It's
There's
bit
a few of them
weird
are
one.
really good. You
But
got-
it feels like it's a very. You've still got the likes of Danger and Co.
Yep.
Jezza. You've got this top end talent. A lot of that middle sort of stuff. You're like, which Guthrie is going to be good?
Cam
We don't
Guthrie's
know.
out for, what is it?
And
Yeah,
that's
but
it.
he's 47. So.
He's
Exactly.
still a good player.
So it's
He's
like
a big
it's
out.
really, really tough.
Mitch Duncan on the wing.
At least they still have Lionel Messi though. So
Well,
Yeah, it's
Lionel
gonna be
Messi
fine.
talking about him, Graham Myers. I think he's going to be, they really helped them this year. That's why I'm going, I'll just go an early one and go the over. I'm going Geelong. I think you guys might be a bit different to me. But you got Graham Myers, should have made the All-Australian team, I think, last year. Got the record in goal assist. He was setting them up all the time. I think he can go again. Holmes as well. I'm really interested to see how he goes in the midfield. Their midfield is pretty average, but they're going to rely on Danger a little bit too much. If they can get Holmes, that's probably
Imagine saying
getting a
their
few more
midfield's
touches.
average and then bringing up Patrick Dangerfield.
Well, they rely on him too much over the last few years. I'm saying the rest. I think Holmes can take his game to another level, then Geelong will be all right. But yeah, that's why
So-
I'm going over.
they also have
they've got an awesome forward line.
They've
Yeah,
got the
forward's
dude.
all right. Yeah.
Well,
They've
Ollie
got Manna from Heaven, aka Manna from wherever.
Wherever, yeah.
Which is exciting. Sean Manna.
But they've also got Ollie Henry chipped in with 40-odd goals last year. Just under the radar, very good season. Jezza is the best forward in the competition.
Yeah.
And just
Tomahawk's
Tom
still good.
Hawkins should play like a mid-1990s full forward. Get out, I'm a 50, boys.
They're in the square. They're in the
just
square.
straight in the square.
But Alex, they lost Sava Radagalia.
Oh,
Big whoop.
yeah, they got.
They
They've
also
still
did
got
they got a Furphy though, which just it fits
Yeah.
because they're in Geelong.
Yes.
So
And they've still got like Tom Stewart in the back line. They've got not a Guthrie, a DeConing back there who had an average
DeConing.
last year. There's 1,000 of all of them. There.
couple of
but
them.
he'll be better again. Zach Tui, is he still going around?
Yeah,
Surely.
he's still good,
hitting
yeah.
barrels out of fullback. Their list is still
Carlton
good.
legend Zach Tui.
Yeah.
Their list was all right. Yeah.
They, for me, are right on the bubble of being, okay, they could win 13 games and then they could win 6.
Their over under is 11.5. Under.
What are you guys going?
Because I
went
have
the
them-
over.
I'm going 12 wins. So it's that they have to beat like the Western Bulldogs in the last round to get it.
I think I have them around that 10 mark anyway. So I think it's just going to be an uphill battle for them. I think they'll be fine at home, obviously. I think I have a lot of questions outside of that. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Side note to previous, Freo is one of my locks as under.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
I haven't used a lock yet.
Yeah.
I'll save it.
I needed to use one.
You're like, oh crap, I forgot.
yeah, I did.
Can Geelong bounce back? We'll find out. Gold Coast. Geez. Have you heard much about Gold Coast this offseason?
Oh, as I said,
Did they get a new coach?
Dimmer,
I don't
this,
know,
dimmer
man.
that. Oh, sick of him.
It's like, I need a break from coaching 1 month later.
Yeah.
So how much do you want to pay me? Oh, it's a lot. Yeah, I'll take
What's the
that.
weather like up
Sweet.
there? Oh, I'll come up there.
I can't blame him. Like, seriously, if you want to get paid an absolute boat ton of money and buy a boat because you're on the Gold Coast,
Yeah.
hang out in warm weather. You know what's warmer in July than Richmond?
Gold Coast.
Literally everywhere else.
Yeah.
Like,
Until
Gold
the
Coast.
Not
Tassie team,
Ballarat.
until the Tassie team comes in, yeah.
Yeah, he's not coaching like the Ballarat Miners, so they're going to be okay. But Dimmer moves to the Gold Coast. Their over-under is 11.5. It's the same as Geelong. It's chaos. This is a team that we saw last year go, 9-14, under Stewie Dew. They very clearly underperformed
Yep.
for probably expectations heading into last season, where it's like, this could be the year. It was not the year, says the narrator. But we got a master coach. He's won flags. He's going to turn around. It takes more than a year to turn around a team, right?
It's
You've
a
gotta have the
3-year project.
List turnover, away we go. I am skeptical of them being much better. I think they'll be better. They'll be better prepared. They'll be better coached.
Maybe a bit
on
more
the
belief.
day.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
They still have a fair amount of talent on this team, I believe.
They have a great list.
And
A great list.
the 11.5
I agree with that.
line is fascinating to me because I think they fall just under 11 wins, though. That's a 2-game improvement. You got to be stoked with that.
2-game, yeah.
Like, you'll be right there within the sort of fight for the finals, I think, right down to the last couple of
I
weeks.
swear every year, though, they're fighting for the final. They'll be
They've
disappointed if they
also
don't
one
make
of
the
the easiest schedules going, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you look at their list as well, it's like the equal 8th oldest, 9th most experienced. Like, it's a weird middle ground.
That's what you
but
want, I think.
I think
Yeah.
it's exactly where they want to be. So I don't mind this for Gold Coast. I think they're a little bit better, but not too much better.
They
if that
play
makes
North
sense.
Melbourne and West Coast twice. It's a great start.
That could be.
Well,
a
we
great,
beat them. We beat them
great
by
over.
35 points last year.
that
North
was
Melbourne,
the final
but-
game of the year
Yeah.
when you literally had one job to lose to get Harley Reid,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
true.
couldn't do it.
Oh, it's all right. That's all
Good job. But I think Gold Coast 9-14 last year, 11.5 this year. I think improved mark like a little bit,
Just a bit. Yeah.
but I think they still go under.
I agree. I don't know. Sorry, I agree with the under. So I'm going the under with the paddle there. I don't agree that they have a great list. I like their spine. I like that you got Lukosius, Anderson. You got a few other guys that aren't too bad, but the depth is, I don't think, really good at all. Dimmer's talking up these guys like they're going to be stars when they've only shown 5 or 6 games at the top level. I don't really like their list at all. Rao staying fit, I wrote down here, is a huge factor. I think he always gets injured halfway through the season. If he can stay fit, he's their clearance bull in the middle.
Just needs to eat more grass.
Eat more grass.
just
He's
gotta
always
give
eating
the
grass.
ball
Yeah.
to Jack Lukosius and
Give the ball to
Anderson. It's all he
Lukosius.
can
Lukosius going to have a great year. Anderson's going to have a great year. But yeah, I don't like their depth at all. So I'm going to say
Miller.
under.
do. Yeah.
I'm here for
Bailey
it.
Duke Mill
Humphrey.
obviously is a star, but
Bailey
yeah,
Humphrey.
they rely too much on a few of those big names. Bailey Humphrey's
Ben
not a star
King.
yet. So
Ben King, let's go.
no way.
He's going over,
Over?
says
Oh,
Alex.
okay.
Jeez, all
I
right.
have them making finals.
Oh,
Wow.
8th. 13 and 10.
okay.
Close
I,
run stuff.
I've, in fairness though, I've been a Gold Coast truther for years. So
How's that worked out?
Not great.
Not well.
All
I
right.
did have a massive bet on them when they played St Kilda last year, so that worked out well.
Nice.
All right. This is the last one for the first half of the Over Under podcast. We're going to go the Greater Western Sydney. It's a big sound.
Woo.
Oh, yes.
They got the best song still.
The Greater Western Sydney Giants. 13 and 10 last year, turned around their season, came storming home, made a prelim. The over-under is 14.5.
That's big.
That's a big over-under. There's not many bigger. In fact, there might only be
Collingwood and Brisbane.
2 bigger. So
Yeah.
the question is, can they continue that form from last year? Did
Clearly they can.
Adam Kingsley and his pythons that he's packing
he's
everywhere he
huge,
goes.
isn't he?
Like, is he like just going to intimidate them into being better?
I think
you're
that's what
going to
he
be
did.
better. I'm going to bash you. Like, that's how it's going to go. It's like I can't.
It's the
argue
west
with
of
that.
Sydney, so
Yeah.
yeah. But
never
it's
know.
also, it took the first half of the season for his game plan to kick in.
True.
And then they're like, this works, we're awesome.
Yep.
And it happened. And they, let's be honest, they should have been in a grand final. They got absolutely slaughtered in that prelim final by umpires and a few nefarious decisions. I was the only one cheering for them at the MCG.
Oh, well, I was cheering for him. That was good fun.
It
that
was
match.
I don't pay attention to preseason, but the way that they slaughtered Gold Coast last night, it just looked like they were having a kick around.
Yep.
It was ridiculous.
And they had full strength
Tom
teams.
Green could legitimately win a Brownlow medal this year.
Yeah, Tom Green, I think he's going to take an even another step up to that. Yeah,
And if
starting.
he takes a step up, and then you've got, Whitfield, Canelio staying at that same level, you've got the best fullback in the comp as well, they're just going to be better.
Yeah.
Toby
Interesting.
Time, Jesse Hogan.
So you're going over under?
Riccardi.
for that
Oh,
then?
yeah.
Oh, you're going over? Oh,
I think
They
I'm
could win
going
the
over.
minor premiership.
geez, I'm going under. I do think they're going to be really good. Maybe so the over under is 14.5. I think they'll be around that 14 win mark. They'll be in the finals, but they've got a much harder draw because they've obviously finished in the finals compared to the year before. And I don't know, it'll just be interesting. Some of the older
Did you
guys.
not see them go to Port Adelaide in that
I know.
semi-final and just go whoosh?
I think they sort of lifted in the moment just because they had a bit of belief in the finals. I don't know if they can do that for a whole season in the 23 games. I'm going to go just under though, 14 wins. Because like you said in the previous podcast, they've got a few older guys. They did dominate, but can they do it again like the likes of Cornelio? Are they still in their prime and things like that?
It is hard to sort of look at this and go, what do you believe from last year, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it when it clicked, they looked absolutely unbeatable. Like, it was awesome. It was the Orange Avalanche, right? Like, we saw it against St Kilda. We were at that game.
That was wild.
And it was awesome. Like, the
Couldn't
way
stop
they
them.
just smashed the Saints, you're like, whoa, watch out. And then off they went.
Yep.
It was really, really fun. Really, really cool. I think this comes to close to one of my locks, but the number's probably a little bit too high.
Yeah.
Like,
I
they
think
could
that's
make
what
it
I'm
14 wins and you'd feel pretty good because it's still better
And they
than
still
last
finished
year.
fifth.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what I reckon. It'll be about
So
14.
I've got them, as I said, going over the 14.5 because I think they squeaked to around that Carlton mark, right, of like 15 and 9.
Okay.
Does that make sense? No, 15 and 8.
Yeah, 15.
Learn
yeah,
how to
sorry.
add. There we go.
Good math, Jim.
But GWS, what did you say, Stats Boy? Under?
I said under, yeah, just 14 because 14 wins they'll still take as a pretty successful season.
Yep.
I just think that over under is a bit too high.
And you're going over. Alex.
I reckon they could be minor premiers.
Nice one.
Oh, jeez.
All right, that is the first half of the Over Under AFL Today Mega Preview Podcast. Absolutely chockers. We'll be back for the last 9 teams in the next episode. That'll be pretty fun. So stick around from Hawthorn all the way down to, what is it, the Western Bulldogs? That's right, H through W.
Yep.
Nice one. But that's 9 teams. I haven't used any of my locks yet, but it's been pretty cool. So either way, make sure you are subscribed to all of the AFL Today socials across everything. What is it? Facey, IG, X, Threads, TikTok, of course, YouTube, all that good stuff. Star, subscribe, and like all the other shows as well that we have. Cricket Today, Football Today, NBA Australia, AFL Today. This is this one.
Yeah.
NFL Australia. NRL Today, maybe.
Everything.
All of them.
Get around it like Tony Plug a locket on a snag. I'll tell you that.
what a
All right.
man.
We'll catch you for the next show very, very soon for more AFL Today. Look after yourselves. And remember, footy's back.